Well, good morning again. This is a video now about the removal of all the Sikaflex from the surrounding the windows and what bonded the windows in. I'm not going to show you all of the glue because you've seen videos of that. I won't show you where all the Sikaflex was. You've seen that. But what I wanted to do is just give you a quick voiceover of what went right and what went wrong and the tools required to take this the windows out and remove the Sikaflex. So the first thing is that the Sikaflex, as I mentioned, was stuck tight to the window, tight to the hull on the one side of the boat. The other side, there was virtually no contact with the window at all, which I suspect that actually the window wasn't primed properly, hence the reason why the Sikaflex didn't stick to it, and that was the one that was actually leaking. Of course, you don't know this and you take both of them out because you suspect they're both the same, but in fact one was probably watertight and the other one was definitely not. The Sikaflex that remains on there is stuck really hard, and one of the biggest problems is that as you pull it and you start to pull the Sikaflex off, you begin to pull the gel coat out as well. So you have to be very, very careful that you're not pulling your boat apart in the process. Unfortunately, some bits are inevitable. It does tend to craze around the window edges, and therefore when you're pulling it out, you get bits of the boat stuck to it as well. So you've got a repair job to do at the end of it with the gel coat. Now all of this, obviously most of it is actually under the window, so you don't have to be too prissy about putting it back in. I'll show you that in a moment. In terms of tooling to get it out, to get the window out, I'm now going to show you this. The tooling to remove it, you'll see here that the first thing is the wire that goes through the edge of the window, and you pull basically one person on the top, one person below, and you make it in a sawing action. The problem you have with this is that the angle, because the angle, you've got a lip in the where the window sits into the boat, your wire has got to go down that 90°. If you're too quick with it, then you tend to weld the wire into the plexiglass window, and then of course when it solidifies you can't get it out. So just something to watch for, but it's very handy once you start to get into a straight edge, you've gone round a corner and you've freed up, you can then use this quite successfully to go along to the next corner once you've done that. The only bit that you can't do is the L-shaped part. I'll come back to that in a minute. The other tool, we use a multi-tool, two blades, one with teeth, and this one's a saw action, moving from one to the other. Does help. Again, a bit ferocious, and you do damage the underside of the plexiglass window. So if you're planning on putting your windows back in, it's not great. The removal, once you've got all of the Sikaflex off the boat and you're left with a residual amount, the stainless steel pads are great. You can use acetone on them. The Sikaflex comes off without, so the metal pads are very useful. Tape, clearly. Knives of various different sorts. Levers, you have to be very careful with the levers, but we found the plastic levers to be very helpful. As you go round, you lift up an edge, slip the plastic lever underneath, use the wire just there to move along to the next part and so on, then slip the plastic levers underneath. Chisels, you'll need a big one, and you'll need one that's probably not more than a 20 millimeters width. There are channels, would you believe, that are molded into the frame where they put the Sikaflex around it, but of course with the channels 20 millimeters is the maximum you can get in there. The other things are long knives. In the L-shaped part that goes over the front of the mast, it's a real problem to get enough length in a knife to get all the way through. So this is quite a long knife we've used, with a serrated edge to go through it, and of course you've seen a bread knife. We tried the bread knife, but it isn't long enough, so you need a very long knife to extend right the way under to get the Sikaflex out. You'll also now see some of the repairs that I've done to the gel coat around there. Quite a bit in the corners, quite a lot of cracking to the gel coat around the corners, and particularly up the side of the hull. I mean, obviously I've got to sand all those back, finish those all off. I'm not too bothered about the surface underneath where the window is going, as long as the cracks in there are sealed over with gel coat. That stop any further water penetration. There shouldn't be any water in there, but there was over the period of time water got in. Then obviously a bit of gel coat repair around there did the job.